Okay, cool. From the previous chapter, I finished up the UV unwrapping of this character and prepared it for break. So here is the final UV of this character. So I got all of the skin parts in one layout, eye in one layout, all the metal accessories that this character had in one, and the turban, like these colors, the turban and the top of it are in one, and this thing on the back, jacket with the shoulder section, and this one is in one layout, and all the skirts in one. And let me show you one by one. Here's the jacket. I try to keep these like in one direction, and the jacket in one direction as well. But I cut these pieces which are for the inside of this thing. Because the middle line was not visible at all, I cut it from there once, and I needed to cut it a couple more times because having like big chunk that is not that important is a little bit uh, not efficient when you are going to lay out your UV. So I kept it like that. For sure, I could like straighten some of these stuff and make a better use of the space that I have, but I think this is good enough comparing the time that I spent doing the layout for it. And the whole leg plus boots, I mean the pants and boots and all of those are these, but because the feet itself, like the skin parts, are part of a skin, I combined them with the face and hands. And for the hands, I kept it symmetrical as well as for the feet. And the reason you see, actually, I mean, we were talking about like the textile density, but after I done the layout for these pieces, like there are some of these pieces that I changed the textile density of some parts based on the space that they were taking in the shots that I had in mind. So, for example, if I turn on this thing to show all the stretches, so for the head, I have like, if we go to transform section on 4K, I have 80 on the face, the front part of the face. On the neck, I have 67, and inside the mouse, I have like 65 because I didn't want to make it too different. But for this part, I have like 46. And the reason for that was the fact that we were not seeing the back of the head, or we were not seeing the ears as much as the front of the face, or even inside the mouse. And because of that, you see, ears are not that visible, or neck, because the seam line is not that visible like in normal shots, and even if they are under like shadows and stuff. I kept it like this. So now, even now, if I assign let's change these to something like 1K. You see, they are not that different. Even for the ears, they are just a little bit different. Here is noticeably different, but here we don't see that part at all. Like, I'm selecting it and you see they are like all the way back. And for the hands and feet, so if this was 80 and the neck was 67, for the hands we have 44, and for the feet we have like 45 or something. So basically the hands and the feet are the same, because we were not seeing hands and feet that much close in our shot. So because of that, I thought that it's all fine to keep them a little bit lower res. And for these pieces, you see these things on the back have lower textile density, because again they were not as important as these top parts. So I just like scaled them down a little bit. For here, so if you remember, we had like we were trying to keep textile density of 30 on 4K for all of these pieces. So I have 30 on these, almost 30 on these, but for these pieces it's like 21, 22. And face is different because of all those small skin details that we had on the scalp. I wanted to have like a lot higher res, higher textile density. And for the turban, I kept it like this. And if you pay attention to the cuts for the UV, actually I will show you all the cuts. I kept them like separated for each chunk, and I cut it from all the cavities that I had in the high res as well. So if you remember, we in the high res we sculpted these as they were like a few chunks, because we wanted to have like different direction on them. So I unwrapped the low res from there as well, and I paid like a lot of attention to be sure that those cavities are nice and clean in the low res. And yeah, I cut it from there, and I left a little bit of room here to be sure that if I wanted to add something later on, I can add it. And I didn't want to make these like straight or anything like that, because I wanted these to have like different direction in their pattern when I apply any fabric texture to them. So that's because you see some of them are like they feel like they are in random direction, but actually that was intentional. And for these pieces, I straightened the lines to be able to better use the UV space, and I have some room for those things that were like hanging on the skirt. I will make them later on and we'll add them there. We will have like 2-3 versions of those. And for these pieces, for this wraparound, you see, I cut the low res from the places that we had the high res separated. So this is the final result of this. And to see the cut lines, which are pretty like standard UV cut lines. They are all in cavities or like in the seam lines, or some, well, for these, you see these are like cut from here, or hand is exactly being cut from the line that we were talking about. And I merged this part of the hand just because I wanted to have like a little bit less seam lines. And this is like a more flat line to merge comparing to this other line. For the accessories, done the layout like this, and I kept this area empty because I want to make those chains, and I will add them here in this area. This is in the empty area that I have on the top of this layer, because they are like metallic as well. They're like goldish material. So yeah, this is like pretty standard UV mapping. There is nothing like super crazy in terms of like technical stuff. And yeah, again, I left some rooms if I for the time that if I wanted to add anything to it. But yeah, this is it. And for the preparation for the baking the maps, I needed to name them because I use Substance Painter to bake all of these. In Substance Painter, you need to name your model in your low poly and high poly in a way that they are matching together. Like, for example, if I have this piece and I call it like, I don't know, like shoulder underscore low, you need to be careful about the like capital or lowercase. I called it shoulder underscore low, and in ZBrush I called this shoulder underscore high, and in Substance I have the option to say whatever I have in my high poly and low poly that their names are matching together, only bake those on top of each other. And with that option, these won't be baked on this one. So there won't be a lot of like, even if they are like going together, they won't be baked on top of each other. I mean, you can be, you can just like name them whatever you want, and just be sure that you have underscore low and underscore high in their name. And the other thing is, you have your materials assigned here in Maya. You have like, for example, like accessory, jacket, shirt, skirt, and eyes, legs, skin, and turban. I have all of these materials. The thing is, in Substance, the only way that you can hide the parts of your character, as far as I know, is to have different materials. Like, imagine, see it like this. You see these layers. You can hide and unhide some parts of your character based on their materials. And for sure it's easier if you have all of your character in one material in terms of texturing, because if you want to have, for example, assign one leather material to this part and want to copy it here, there you can just like masking that, all of those you just like quickly do it. But when you have it separated in like different shaders, like different materials, like what I did. In that thing, like it would be a little bit more time consuming in terms of like you need to change your material, paste your like leather material from this part to this part. But especially if you have like not as, if your machine, like if it's not that strong, it's better to separate them in different materials. And because you can easily hide some of your some parts of your character and only see the parts that you are working on, and it will speed up your workflow. Or the other thing that you can do is you can just like make the texture of this part 4K that you are working on, and after you're done with the texturing, you can change it to 1K, so it will be a lot lighter, and you just like keep only the part that you are working on as like 4K to just like clear a little bit of space in your processor. Let's go to ZBrush and we'll show you what I did there for the bake. So in ZBrush, I needed to do a few things. First, I needed to name everything in a way that they are matching the low res. So you see it's like head underscore high, hands underscore high, and all of those. But the thing is, if you have some stuff that you want to bake, like for example, this shoulder pad in Maya, let's go back to Maya. This shoulder pad in Maya is only one piece, and it's called shoulder underscore low. But in ZBrush, I have all of these pieces. The trick is, if you add something after this underscore high that you have, it will recognize them all part of as one mesh in Substance. And you see all of the stuff that starts with shoulder underscore high, no matter what you have after that, they all would consider as like shoulder underscore high. And that's the trick when you have like many different subtools that you want to bake on one mesh in low res. So I named everything like that. Like for example, for the pieces that I had like two different piece, like the piece itself and the stitches, you see they are like jacket underscore high dash 001 or 002. And yeah, with this, you can name your high res the way you want. And the other thing that you need to do is to decimate all of your high res in a way that they are lighter, but you should not decimate them too low res, so you can in as much as you can see the polygons or like triangles. After you decimated everything and applied renamed everything in your scene, matching your low poly, the other thing that you need to do is to assign material IDs here in ZBrush. The reason I do this is because, I mean, in Substance, if you if you want to bake your ID map, there is an option that it will tell that based on each subtool that you had in ZBrush, or like each object that you have in your high res, it will randomly assign a color to it. But that random color may be different if you change anything in your high res and you want to re-export it. So that's not a good way to track or like keep your ID colors exactly like what you want. And the other reason is if you want to do that, you need to separate some pieces from each other. Like here, I have the borders and the main piece of the jacket in one subtool in my high res, but I assigned different colors to them, so I can easily pick them in my ID map. And the thing is, if I have like this color, you see here on the shirt and this like undershirt, I don't know what would be called. I have two different. I have like two different objects, but they are exactly the same color. And the reason I did that is because on top of your like ID mask selection, you can select by object, and it's so easy to use like color selection mask tool and add another like paint layer on top of paint mask layer on top of that and deselect this part by object. So what you need to be careful about is if you have like two pieces, like a few pieces next to each other, and they are like these in Maya in like one piece, one connected low poly, you need to be careful that they are as different as possible, because there is like a tolerance slider in Substance Painter when you are just like masking by color. So for example, this one should not be orange, and the next the piece next to it should be like red. It should be different because you can play with that tolerance so easily. So yeah, this is the material color ID assignment that I have in ZBrush for these pieces. And for the skin parts, because I want to have these textures baked in Substance, the easiest way is to apply the color to your high res, the texture that you have in your high res, and bake it as ID mask in Substance. And that way you can easily have this texture in Substance baked for you. The only other thing is just be careful when you have like a heavy character like that has like a lot of different objects and a lot of detail. Don't export all of these pieces all together as one FVX, because Substance may most of the time has difficulties reading a super heavy file as one FBX, for example. And you can separate them based on your material. So for example, you can export all of the high res pieces that are related to this material, and that would be a lot easier to track, and you don't need to sit sit in front of your desk and just like watch ZBrush export the FVX for an hour. You just need to separate them in different pieces in ZBrush. Separate them, in terms of like export them, just these pieces together that are related to these. So in Substance, you can only load that single part, or even you can just like load all of them, but you can just like load that single part and single high poly and bake that area and that material and just like remove it from your scene and add the other one. And that's the only thing. And yeah, this is all the preparation that I did for the bake.